Do you think Bitcoin has topped at 112K? What happens if this is the start of the bear market? What if this is a double top, like what happened in the 2021 Bitcoin top? Remember, do you guys remember what happened there? So Bitcoin, remember in 2021 was sort of like 64K top, went down to like 30K and then 69K top. Well, this is 2025, by the way. So what if Bitcoin topped here, 108K, 109K, goes down and it does the same thing, double top here at 112K area? And do we think that's happening? I'm not saying that is what's happening. I'm going to show you the evidence of what I think, and people know already what I think. But if there is a big pullback or a pullback of some sort, as we're having right now at 112, 113K, or if we have a double top at 113K, you've got to ask yourself, who could have called this, huh? Who could have predicted this? So this was Pablo very publicly saying Bitcoin double top 113K, or is this going to be the start of a new major bull leg up? Now, this was posted on May the 22nd, but of course this video came out like on May the 20th, because I usually posted it like a day or so later on Twitter. I show it to my Discord first. The key question is here, why 113K, right? This is way before it happened. So 113K, as I've just shown you guys the logic here. Basically, the May 21st was around here. So as we were approaching this 113K area, and I only got to 112, right? I said 113K, we could have a double top. But in this, people say I'm confused. So in the subsequent videos, I kept on stressing, I think a double top at 113K is the least likely scenario where it goes down to the big bear market, 10% chance or less. All my videos since then for the last 10 days have been saying that's the least likely scenario. What I think is happening is there's resistance 112, 113K, and we go down for a small pullback. And that's exactly what's happening right now. A big pullback would be something like this, 50% pullback to like 93, challenge this 92, 93K area, right? This key 92K area, right? 93K is the 50% pullback on this big, massive bounce so far. That would be a big pullback. A small pullback is something like if we, as I said, we probably don't get below 100K area. Been saying that for a number of videos, right? Now, I have to stress, the only reason why I think we don't get below 100K, I kept on saying, is if Trump does not do a crazy tweet. Then due to the markets alone, I don't think we get below 100K because of this. Because, and again, people are probably sick of me saying this, but it really just comes down to the funding rates. If it's all green, mostly green like we see right now, that means most people are going short right now. If most people are going short right now, then what happens if crypto or Bitcoin drops or tanks? If that happens, then all the shorts win. Then people on the 20x, 50x shorts, they're gonna make like life-changing money from the crypto exchanges. So the crypto exchanges like Binance, they don't want you to win. So they're not gonna push the market any lower. And remember, like they're the biggest whales in the crypto market. There's a second force right now that could also determine the direction of crypto, and that's the spot buyers, the ETFs, and also MicroStrategy, people like that. They react to the macroeconomic news, which is what Trump tweets about what's happening in the US, or a trade policy or tariff policy. And that's what is very interesting here for us to gauge the strength or weakness of Bitcoin. So is Bitcoin going below 100K or not? Before we answer that question, first let's answer which crypto exchange does Pablo Jimenez use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show your ID. That means the exchange can't even see who you are. Of course, then Americans can join and use it. This is my Pablo link. Just by depositing, receive up to $200 and trade, win up to $35,000. But for a limited time only, this offer is only till June the 4th. Trade and get a chance to win Tesla Model 3, Rolex watch, Apple Vision Pro, Sony, all these great, wonderful prizes. So now, if you're watching on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. But if you're watching on some other platform, such as this one, then basically just go to my profile page and should be the first should be this link right here. That's my Stan link or link tree, whatever you want to call it. Should be the first deal that comes up. Okay, Pablo He-Man, Bitunix, first deal, because it's a great deal. Now, let's get back to the markets. And remember, folks, it is only on this link, only on the Pablo link. So with Bitcoin and the markets, what we saw in the last few 12 hours or so was Trump making this tweet on Friday. Trump making this tweet, once again, he shocked the markets with this tweet basically saying that, okay, you know, now we're going to have China is not complying. China is not complying with the tariffs pause deal we negotiated in Geneva, which is 3 weeks ago. When remember how everybody from China to Trump to US, everybody took their tariffs down like 120%. They went back to like 10, 30% tariffs, basic tariffs. And the market was happy, and that's why we had this gap up here. This gap up was because that China deal was successfully negotiated, and they have a 90-day pause. But now, basically, everyone is going back to this. Trump's walking back that deal right now. That's what's happening. Trump is basically saying the Chinese not playing along, so why should I play along? So market got nervous, and what happened was this. Oops. Okay, look, market got nervous, and basically market sold off yesterday. The SP 500. I'm trying to use the SP 500 to gauge the strength of Bitcoin, right? Because they're all reacting to the same piece of news, and this is the biggest news in the world right now. If US and China go into another trade war, and then by the close of the market, right? Last 2 hours before the close, market bounced back, right? So that's very important. And how does it look on the weekly? The SP 500. Okay, so that's a reasonable close for the weekly as well. As folks know that for the last few days, I've been saying, I think we get a pullback like this to form a bull flag on the SP 500, and we close the gap here. The big support is around this 565, 568 level. So we could meander down here and then break up. Now, it's important to talk about this because because Bitcoin copies this action quite a lot. Now, Bitcoin basically, then what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin basically just came to here. Now, Bitcoin, it actually, if we look at the intraday, Bitcoin actually did bounce up. But, however, then this was the bounce in the stock market, so Bitcoin followed it and it's this one. Bitcoin did bounce up, but still we can see it's kind of still far off from where the top was, and then closed nowhere near the top. In fact, closed near the bottom, and now closed down, and now it's. I mean, the new trading day had just started for Bitcoin in the in the Middle Eastern trading hours. So this is kind of what it looks like. So not much of a bounce from Bitcoin so far, but what most people are worried. Let me answer 2 questions right now. One, will we get a big 10% crash? Like, you know how one of those days where Bitcoin just goes boom like this? 10% crash, it's at 103K right now. A 10% crash would take Bitcoin to like 93K. Like if went like this, 93K is about there. If it went boom like this and alts crash with like 25, 30% crash, like in one day, like in fact, in like 3 or 4 hours, boom, one of those cascading crashes they have in Bitcoin all the time. I don't think it can happen right now. Once again, I stress it is because if that happens, most people are going short, most people are green here, right? Then these shorts would make so much if these coins went down 25, 30%, the old coins. Some exchanges would go bankrupt if they had to pay out that much money on a drop like that. So I see a slow sort of bottoming process here. Chances are we still close above 100K. Now, in what scenario does Bitcoin dip into the 90s? You have this important 0.618 Fibonacci retrace at this 97.5K area. it's reasonable for Bitcoin to, after such a big run up with very small pullbacks, to make a pullback to 97.5K area, which is where this 0.618 Fibonacci retrace is. What would make Bitcoin do that? Now, as I keep on saying, if we have a crazy tweet from Trump, then the ETFs are going to sell. The people who buy the ETFs are Wall Street investors. If they think SP 500 is going down, if they think NASDAQ is going down, then basically they would sell Bitcoin, their Bitcoin holdings in IBIT, which is the BlackRock Bitcoin Fund. So in that case, Bitcoin would go down here. Right now, the good news is that Trump has not even the market has not even reacted much to the Trump news or threat or tweet on China, because we just saw that Trump basically the market, which I just showed you guys, bounced right up. The market wicked up. I don't think that's quite the bottom for the NASDAQ. I think that's a very good sign, but I don't think that's the bottom for the SP 500 or for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's here, even better looking wick candle. I think we could at least test 18.5, if not 18.0, 17.9 on the NASDAQ. Again, a sort of bull flag here before we go up, break new all-time highs. So I still think the blow off top scenario is happening. It's just a question of where will the pullback stop? Will the pullback stop at 100K and above, like I've always been saying, or we'll get to something like 97, 96K. The 97, 96K scenario, I just want to show you guys one more thing. Even if you look at K-Web, yesterday's Trump's threat in his tweet was directed at China, saying China is not playing by the rules, so maybe Trump wants to do something with the tariffs again. And even this Chinese ETF traded on the NASDAQ still had a small wick down or a bounce as well. This is not a good looking candle, but even they pushed up a little. So it means the market, even China, is not feeling entirely scared of what's happening with Trump right now. So therefore, basically, if the stock market isn't that worried, then Bitcoin shouldn't be that worried either, because that means the spot buyers from BlackRock ETF should not be dumping a lot, because they're not that worried, because we just saw Wall Street, SP 500 ETF, NASDAQ ETF, even the Chinese ETF are not dumping in a panic just yet. We could get a tweet. We could get a tweet on Sunday evening from Trump. Once again, this is a trick like that he likes to do, where he tweets bad news on a Friday, then he gets his family or insiders, to buy some puts, and the market drops, and then he sells those puts, and then tweets some good news, or tweets, "There's no problem with China. We'll renegotiate when 90 days is up," on a Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon U.S. time, and the markets bounce, the futures bounce, and the markets reopen up on the Monday morning in the U.S. or even in the Asian time zone. So he's done this a number of times. So right now, we just have to wait for the Sunday evening U.S. time to see if Trump tweets again or not, or is he serious? Is this another ploy to just let his family insiders to buy some puts and then make some quick profits on the weekend, or is he serious? Is he real about this threat on China? So that's what will determine if Bitcoin can stop at 100K or not. In general, I still think the blow off top is going to happen. I still think the blow off top has a very large, over 60% chance of happening. It's just a matter of figuring out how deep this pullback is going to be. I always thought the pullback would be above 100K, but because Trump made this crazy tweet, so we probably can't be I'm not as sure as before we stop at 100K because of this crazy tweet from Trump. I always said, look, guys, unless we get a crazy tweet from Trump, then I think we're going to stop before we get below 100K. With Ethereum here, I've always been saying that this was a bull flag, right? And 2760 is the top range of the flag, right? That's where it did this wick up, and now we're possibly coming down to retest this lower part of the flag or support area, which is 2300. I think it'll get just below this area. See, this If Bitcoin goes to something like 100K, tests 100K area, then this is this low here is 23.25. And I think ETH would take out 23.25 and go to 22.90, 22.80, something like that, because there are a lot of longs that are hiding down here with their stop losses, their liquidation levels just here. Usually what they do is they flush out the liquidity here, the longs here, and then bounce and then go up. That's the scenario if Trump does not do is not serious about his crazy tweet on China, because it hasn't even been 90 days yet, and he's trying to start a fight again with China. But if he is serious about China, then I think you're going to see the reactions in the stock market come Monday, come Tuesday. If stocks go down, then Bitcoin goes down with it. So the situation is more complicated now. I just want to say this again, even though I've been repeating this, because people get confused and they go, "Oh, you said up or down, up or down." No, I'll say it again. I think it's a blow off top. We're still inside a blow off top. And that means a new all-time high for the stock market and for Bitcoin, right? At least above 120K would be the minimum qualification for a blow off top for me. And now we're inside a pullback. If Trump's tweet is not a real threat, if it's just for his family to make some quick bucks, insider trading, then he would then it will be a small pullback at above. We stopped before we get to 100K, and then Bitcoin goes up again. It might go sideways around here between 100 and 112K. But if Trump is serious and he really wants to pick a fight, another trade war with China right now, then the stock market will lead and go down in a bigger pullback, and in which case Bitcoin can pull back more, possibly around 96, 97K for now, but I'll update you guys when I have more info. Okay, stay tuned guys. I'll catch you guys for the next episode.